Once this fear energy takes over, once the root chakra is affected, then it affects the second chakra, Swadhisthana, which is again deals with your guilt, the energy of guilt. And once the fear is there, the guilt is there, then we put in a lot of layers, a lot of identities. Then we are stuck in the ego, the third chakra. So we have to work on our fears, we have to work on our guilt, and we have to work on our false identities, which is our ego. So unless you work on all those three and go beyond this, you cannot be in your fourth chakra, anahata, heart space. And unless you are in your heart space, your spiritual journey doesn't begin. And we have 7 chakras. The upper chakras the upper 3 are spiritual. The throat chakra, the Ajna, and the Sahasrara, the crown chakra. They are spiritual chakras. And the lower 3 deals with our physical survival on the planet Earth. So the lower 3 chakras are physical. The higher 3 chakras are spiritual. The middle, which is the 4th chakra, the Anahata chakra, is the balancing chakra. It is in between the top 3 and the bottom 3. So unless you work on your fears, unless you work on your guilt, and unless you work on your false identities, your ego, you cannot be in the heart space. And unless you are in the heart space, you cannot start your realizing your true self. So that means your inner journey begins. That means your spiritual journey begins. And once you reach the Sahasrara, you again come back to the heart space. Because to be in the heart space is the golden middle path. So the heart is the entry of your spiritual journey, and the heart space is the conclusion of your enlightenment. Is the pinnacle of your enlightenment. It's not the conclusion, it's the pinnacle of your enlightenment is you being in the heart space. It all begins with fear. It is the energy of the fear which is stopping the humanity to realize its own true potential. When I say realizing the potential of the humanity, I mean the humanity to live its own divinity. We are all gods. We are all not just mere humans. We are all gods currently taken the human life. Right now, we are in the human body. But we are all gods. Many people think we are humans. Many people think we are humans striving to be gods. But it's the other way. We are gods currently in the human body. Many people know the drop of an ocean. Many people know the drop of water merges into the ocean. I repeat, many people know a drop of water merges into the ocean. But very few realize the ocean itself merges into the drop. To realize that you are not a drop, you are the ocean itself. That is realization. That is enlightenment. And what is the fundamental energy, emotion, which is stopping the humanity to realize that? Is the fear energy. So let us discuss a little more about this fear today. So that's going to be the topic of today. So fear. This is our agenda today. You'll understand what is fear. Why do we have fears? And how do I face my fears? See, first of all, it's a fact that we all have fears. If you're out of the fears, then we are enlightened. As simple as that. So we will understand in detail what exactly is fear and where does the fear originate? Why do we have the fears in the first place? And because we already know that we have fears, how do I work on it? How do I make sure I let go of it? So fear is a feeling. It's a feeling of an impending disaster. It's a feeling that some disaster is going to happen sooner or later. So that's an impending disaster. It's a feeling. The disaster is not happening, but you have a feeling that the disaster might happen. Okay. And the fear energy is you are in a state of a constant dread. No, there is a constant dread of some unknown disaster. I say a constant dread because you never know when the fear is going to come, how the fear is going to come, and where the fear is going to come. The fear can happen anytime. The energy of the fear, it can hit you anytime, any place, any situation, anytime. So you are in a constant dread of some unknown disaster. And because of this, you are in panic. So the fear energy creates a panic. So it's fundamentally a feeling of impending disaster, that something is going to happen to me, that I'm in danger. Something is going to happen to me. I'm in danger of my own existence, for my life, or the aspects of my physical life. Like some danger, some disaster is going to happen to either to me or to the aspect of my life. Either to me means, okay, I might lose my life. That is one. Or the aspects of life. I might lose money. I might lose my loved ones. I might lose my name. I might lose my self-respect. So it's an impending disaster. It's a feeling of constant dread. Anytime, any place, any situation, it can happen. And when it happens, you are in panic. The panic is because some danger is going to happen, either to you or the aspects of your life. So fundamentally, this is the fear energy. We'll come back later on. How do we deal with it? But first of all, understand why there is fear in the first place. What is the reason we have the fear in the first place? There are 3 points, the fundamental 3 points why we have fear. The first is ignorance. We will go in detail. First point is ignorance. And the second is our karmic baggage. The things we have done in our past comes back to us. The wrong acts comes back in this current life. And the third is the wrong food habits. So these are the 3 reasons why we have fear in the first place. So let us understand about ignorance, how ignorance can lead to fear. When we say about the ignorance, so that means we are not conscious of it, we are not aware of it. So that means we are ignorant. See, we are the creators of our own thought patterns. We are the creators of our own thought patterns. When I say thought patterns, that means there is a certain repetitiveness. When there is certain repetitiveness, we call it as a pattern. We can, as a child, what kind of environment you have been brought up, that impacts our thought patterns. If you are born and brought up in a family, a healthy family atmosphere, then your thought patterns are positive. If you are born in a family environment where there is a lot of survival issues, where there are a lot of guilt issues, where there are a lot of ego issues, then naturally your thought patterns are negative. And these thought patterns are unconscious. So let us understand a little more about this thinking. Thought patterns means your thoughts, your thinking. Again, there are 2 kinds of thoughts: active thinking and passive thinking. Active thinking. What does active thinking mean? Active thinking means it is intentional. You intentionally make an effort to concentrate on a particular subject for a specific outcome. So that is active thinking. You intentionally focus, concentrate, make an effort, and you think. That is active thinking. For example, a student who is studying, he intentionally thinks while reading his books, while studying for his exams. He intentionally concentrates, thinks, try to understand the subject so that he can perform well in the exam center. he can perform well in his examination. Or a carpenter, he has to intentionally make an effort to think, to get the design in his imagination and say, okay, I'm going to make this kind of a product, I'm going to make this kind of a chair, I'm going to make this kind of a table. So what should I do? So first I prepare this, first I prepare the spare parts, and then I try to assemble it. So he has to intentionally think to make a beautiful furniture. Similarly, people who are working in IT or any job, even if you're cooking, you have to think intentionally, what are the ingredients to go? What kind of food you want to make? What is the final outcome you want? So that is active thinking. Passive thinking is unintentional. It's unconscious, unobserved, and it is repetitive. It's repeating on a subtle level. And you cannot observe it because it is in the background. A normal person cannot observe it because his awareness level is very low. And passive, the very word passive thinking means it's unintentional. It doesn't mean to think, but the thinking is happening on its own. And unobtrusive, where your attention is not going there, but the thoughts are repeating. For example, you will think about money, and you will think about your wife, and you will think about your children. Suddenly you'll think about money, and suddenly you'll think about your job, you'll think about your wife, and you will think about your driver, you will think about what you need to do tomorrow. So there won't be any link. You are thinking randomly. The thoughts are shooting up very randomly. Next. Illogical thoughts where you have no attention. So that is unobtrusive, random, it's automatic, unconscious, unobserved. So these kind of thoughts, repetitive thoughts, become a form of self-suggestion. So you are suggesting these. So these thoughts, when it becomes repetitive, unconsciously, when it is happening and it is repeating again and again and again, it becomes a self-suggestion. So you are suggesting to yourself that this is going to happen. And where your attention goes, your mind goes there. And you put in a lot of energy, and it leads to manifestation of your own thoughts. And unfortunately, most of the thoughts are negative thoughts. The unintentional thoughts, the passive thinking, for most of the people, it's negative thinking. And that manifests into fear consciousness, into fear energy. Let us go into some examples. For example, if you have this thinking, unconscious thinking, a self-suggestion going, I'm not good at remembering names. You tell yourself, I'm not good at remembering names. Or when you meet somebody, you say, oh, sorry, I don't remember your name. I'm not good at remembering names. So when you say that I'm not good at remembering names, and this is going unconsciously as a self-suggestion, definitely you will not remember names, because that is the suggestion you have given for your own self. And some people will say, I'm not good at maths. I'm not good at maths. And they speak because it's going on as an unconscious self-suggestion. They open up their mouth and they speak randomly without any conscious of what they're speaking about. They simply say, oh, I'm not good at maths. For sure, they will make mistakes when it comes to calculations. So this negative mindset. So when we speak about self-suggestion, we are speaking about the mindset. The unconscious patterns becomes the mindset. So this negative mindset really is the root cause of the fears, one of the root causes of the fears. So this negative mindset leads to a lot of passive thinking. Then you go into a loop. For example, you as a student, you've gone to the exam and you have written the exam. Or before you going to the exam, you have this self-suggestion, you have this unconscious thoughts going on. Okay, I have prepared well, fine, I'm going to write my exam, it's okay. But what if I fail my exams? So that if clause, what if I fail my exam? What is going to be my next action plan? That thinking becomes your passive thinking. So that is a kind of self-suggestion you are unconsciously giving to yourself. And for sure you will fail. because you're thinking as a backup plan. And you said, what if if it doesn't work out? What if I fail my exam? So that very thought, it goes into unconscious loop. If it just happens once consciously, that's okay. If it happens once consciously, you will say, okay, I won't fail my exam. I have prepared well. There is no possibility I will fail my exam. If you have high level of awareness and if you are conscious of it, then you will immediately cut the thought. Then you are no more in that mindset. But if it is happening subconsciously, without your knowledge, repeating, the thoughts are repeating unconsciously, and you are not even aware of it, then you are bound to fail. So this is how the self-suggestion happens. Again, another example. I have a swelling in my neck. What if it is a tumor? Or it's going to be some cancer kind of a thing. So when you are having this negative mindset, then it constantly repeats. The thoughts are unconsciously repeating, and then you will manifest it. Actually, it might be a small tumor. Because of your thoughts, the tumor starts becoming swelling, and it will manifest as something very life-threatening. Again, a very good example of COVID. I have seen many people where is a blue-collar worker, is a layman. For him, he has to do his everyday job. If he doesn't go to job and earn money, he cannot feed his family. Very layman, a blue-collar worker. So he doesn't fear COVID. When the COVID came, he says, what COVID? Okay, let the COVID come. That's a secondary. But if I don't go to work, because there was a lot of lockdown happened. No work, no money, no food. So he was like, if I don't go to work, I will die out of hunger. Forget about COVID. Who cares about COVID? I'm more focused on today. I'm more focused on my food. I'm least bothered about COVID. So there were many blue-collar workers who had this attitude, and they never got COVID. That's a very interesting thing. They never got COVID. Or even if they got it, they never noticed it because their attention was not there. They didn't have that fear. They never had that negative mindset, something will happen to me. Because for him, he's leading a life day to day to day. He's least bothered about COVID. His more focus is on the food. His more focus is to take care of his children, to take care of his wife, to go to job. So his focus is when the lockdown opens and when I can go to work. He was looking forward to go out to the society. He was not in the fear to hide in the house. It's an interesting statistics. So those kind of people, they never got COVID, or even if they are infected, they are not even aware that they're infected. So their life continued. So that's again an interesting example of the mindset. So let us see patterns of the mind. There are 4 patterns where first is the mind disastrous, the second is the mind negative, disastrous pattern, negative pattern, positive pattern, and miraculous pattern. Mind is nothing but a bundle of thoughts. So when I say disastrous mind, so that means you have a lot of thoughts, a bundle of thoughts, unconscious thoughts repeating on its own, which is disastrous. I'll give an example. For example, you are a student and you're preparing for an exam. While you are preparing for the exam, or after you finish your exam, if you think that, yes, I'm preparing for my exam, I'm going to write my exam, I don't know if I will pass, I'm not confident about myself, I don't know if I'll pass, that is a disastrous mind. Because you have spoken the word, you have confirmed that I don't know if I will pass. I don't know if I will pass means there is every possibility I will fail. So that is disastrous. So before you are going to write the exam, you have already set your thought patterns. You have already given the self-suggestion. So that gets into the action, and the manifestation is you will definitely fail the exam. That is disastrous mind. Disastrous mind is you, before writing the exam, you are giving a self-suggestion that you will fail. You might fail. You might fail. It's also a disastrous. The might or may is also a disastrous. Then coming to the negative mindset. The negative mindset is, he'll say, okay, I've prepared well, I've written the exam well, I don't know how the results are going to be. It's 50-50. There is every possibility I will pass, but there is a small percentage I might fail also. I don't know. But I will pass, but I might fail 50-50. I'm not sure. That is negative mindset. So that mindset also, he will fail for sure. Next, the positive mindset. The positive mindset is, okay, I have written the exam well. I'm sure I will pass. I may not get the distinction, but for sure I will pass. That is positive mindset. He has helped himself out of disaster and out of negativity. That is positive mindset. And then there is miraculous mind. A miraculous mind is one who says, of course I have prepared myself well, and I've written my exam well. There is no way I will pass with distinction. I will come out, my results will be flying colors. I will come out, I will pass out in flying colors. So that is miraculous. Where his aim is to the topmost. So his thought pattern is, he will not compromise anything less than that, anything less than the distinction. So it is the mind pattern which is very fundamental if you want to understand the fear energy. You see, the first mind disastrous and mind negative. It's because of the fear energy they are into that state where they are not confident that they will pass. If you are not confident that you will pass, that is disastrous. If you are 50-50, not sure, you have written well, you might pass, there is every possibility you will pass, and there is every possibility you might fail. That is negative mindset. So when you're having these two mindset, then the fear energy is bound to take over you. And when you have this fear energy, there is a lot of panic. The fear is a feeling. You radiate a lot of these feelings. And these feelings goes out. You are radiating. You are transmuting. It's nothing but signals, waves. And that will put into motion the manifestation, into action. So what kind of patterns we have? What kind of mind we have? So we have to understand that is the fundamental reason for this fear energy. For a person who is normal, healthy, he is born and brought up in a healthy atmosphere, he will have positive mindset because he is constantly surrounded by positive environment and his child is all positive. But for a miraculous mind, it's only possible unless you are a great meditator, unless you are conscious of your thoughts, unless you are aware moment to moment to moment. Again, in this meditation journey, in the field of spirituality, there are 4 departments. In the field of spirituality, there are 4 departments. The first department is the meditation science department. Spiritual science has 4 departments. The first department is the meditation science, where you understand the science of meditation, where you understand unless you are sincere and serious, you cannot achieve what you want. So you become a sincere student in practicing meditation. Practice. You make every effort. So that's one department. And the other department is enlightenment department. So in the enlightenment department, you constantly work on your self-mastery. You are not only meditating, you are reading a lot of books. You go through Swadhyaya, you do a lot of self-study. And you listen to others' experiences, you learn from others' experiences. And you constantly work on yourself. You know where are your weak points. You know where are your strengths. You are fully aware of your own self through your own meditation. So you constantly work on yourself. You want to master yourself. So you constantly work on the self-mastery. So that is the field of enlightenment, the department of enlightenment. That is the second department. And once you are an intense meditator, once you are a sincere meditator, and through that meditation, you become conscious of yourself and you work on yourself, you focus on your self-mastery. You focus on your enlightenment. Then comes the third department. The third department is where there is moment to moment to moment awareness. Every moment there is awareness. When you are closing the eyes, you are aware of your breath. When your eyes are open, you are aware of what is happening around you and what is happening inside you. That is the third department. We discussed very well about this mindfulness. The more you practice meditation, the more you practice mindfulness, very naturally you become aware moment to moment to moment. In that awareness, you have a choice what kind of thoughts you radiate. So you will radiate only miraculous thoughts, nothing less than miraculous thoughts. You are not interested in positive thoughts also. Your focus is only on miraculous thoughts. So these people can manifest whatever they want, anything they want, because they have a miraculous mind. That is the fourth department. The fourth department is the department of your thought power, the department of manifestation. You become a co-creator. Once you have come to the third department, that means you are enlightened. You are highly enlightened. So then the fourth, you become a co-creator. You can create whatever you want. You can manifest whatever you want. You become a co-creator in the higher dimensions. You create new star systems, new planets. You literally become a co-creator. Or when you're in the physical body in the earth, you can literally create whatever you want. But whatever you create will be not for you, but whatever you create will be for the benefit of the whole humanity, for the benefit of the whole planet Earth. That is the fourth department where you use your thought power. So in the following days, we'll speak about manifestation and its consequences. When I say consequences, that means if you don't have a miraculous mindset, if you're not practicing meditation, if you're not practicing mindfulness, and you don't have 100% clarity, and you use this manifestation techniques, then you are bound to go through the consequences. But if it happens naturally that you are meditating every day and you are working on your self-mastery and your only focus is on enlightenment and you practice moment to moment to moment awareness, then whatever you manifest has no consequences. This subject is a very important subject. We will deal with it at a later stage. But today, let us come back to the fear energy, where if you are having a negative mindset or a disastrous mindset, the fear energy is bound to radiate. Now, we have understood because we are ignorant of our own self, because of our patterns, the self-suggestions, the negative self-suggestions, the negative thought patterns, we are ignorant about it. We are not conscious about it. That is the first reason for the fear. The second is the wrong acts done in the past life, where it is a simple law of karma. What you sow, so you reap. What you do comes back to you. So as an infant soul, as a baby soul, as a young soul, even as a mature soul, to a certain extent, where you have done a lot of bad karmas, mainly as an infant, as a baby, as a young soul. Because when you are in these stages, then your focus is on survival. Your focus is on power, authority, domination, ego. So you eventually do a lot of bad karmas because you are in the survival. So these bad karmas will come back to you. What you do, come back to you until you learn lessons out of it and you neutralize it. So it will come back to you. So all the wrong acts we have done in all our past lives, knowingly or unknowingly, doesn't matter. It will come back. That's a law. That's a law of karma. Now let us understand with an example. This is very subtle, very, very subtle. How our fears, what all the fears we carry in our past lives, we continue to our present life. And what the fears we have in our present life, we continue to our future lives. So we have to understand it is very, very important. The fears we have in our past life, we carry to our present. And the fears we have in our present life, we carry to the future. So let us go through an example. So for example, Peter was cheated by his acquaintance or his friend. where he lost all his savings, where he lost all his property, money, everything he lost. And he realized his mistake because he blindly trusted. He blindly trusted, and that's why he got cheated. He realized it, and then he's a good-hearted person. Peter is really a good-hearted person, old soul. So he said, okay, it's my mistake. I forgive him. So he forgave his friend, but he could not forgive himself because he's too hard on himself. He could not forgive him. He could not forgive because of his wrong act, his whole family is suffering. And he felt like he's no more a good husband. He's no more a good father because he cannot financially manage the things. That created a lot of guilt with him, a lot of fear, and he committed suicide. And the next incarnation, he was born again. It's a different name, different body. Instead of Peter, it is wrong. Every lifetime we take new bodies, but the same soul. So in that next lifetime, because of his bad experience, in the next lifetime, he carry forward that fear. So he has the fear that he cannot take care of others. He's not capable of financially handling the things. He's not good at finances. He cannot take care of the finances, and he cannot take care of others. So he has that fear, which is coming from his past life experience. So what he does, he avoids all the financial responsibilities. He deliberately avoids the financial responsibilities because the underlying root cause is the fear from the past life. And he will not be inclined to get married. Or even if he gets married, he won't have children. He say, no, I don't want to have children. Because of this fear that I cannot be a responsible person. I cannot, to have a family, to have a wife and children means financially you should be responsible. So I'm not good at finances, so I don't want family. So I don't want children. So he'll get into that pattern. Had he faced his own fears in that past life, he would have worked on that fears and he would have come out of that fears and he wouldn't have committed suicide. And in the present life, he wouldn't have carried forward. So this is an example how your past life acts, your acts in your past life affects your present life. It is a beautiful law of karma. And law of karma is not a punishment. So you might ask, he didn't do any mistake. Somebody else cheated him. Why he has to go through that? He has to go through that to learn the lesson of to forgive himself and to face the challenges. Why he faced that challenge? Why he faced that scenario? Because he designed himself in his soul planning stage. And why he has to design that? The root cause is again in the past life, he would have cheated somebody else and he has to learn the lesson. So what he sowed comes back. What he has done, it has come back. See, we might have done many things unconsciously in our past lives, knowingly or unknowingly. We would have taken hundreds of past lives and we would have done many things. But this moment is in our hands. It's for sure what you have done is going to come back. That is for sure. But how do you handle it? It is in this moment, it's in your hands. That makes the difference. And the third, food habits. The first we have discussed about the ignorance, the unconscious thought patterns, the self-suggestion we are giving. And the second is the past life wrong acts. And the third is the food habits. Many people don't know about it, that their food habits are one of the root causes of the fear. So let us see this. So the food we consume, it is divided into three aspects. Whatever the food we eat, it divides into three aspects. When the food intake, when it goes in, it divides into three. The first is the gross, the second is the middling, and the third is the fine. So in the yogic science, whatever you eat gets converted into three portions, gets divided into three portions. The first is the gross particles which comes out of your body as a waste and it discharges as an excreta. The second is the middling one, which becomes part of your blood, flesh, which becomes part of you. It gets absorbed by your physical body, like nutritions, minerals, proteins. That is the middling ones. That's the second portion. And the third portion is a very fine particles. It's the third portion is the energy, prana, or whatever is the energy associated with that food, which influences the mind. These fine particles, the third one, many people are not aware of it. Most of the people, they are aware of the gross particles, they are aware of the proteins, nutritions, minerals, but they are not aware. Only a meditator, only a yogi is aware because he's sensitive. So he's aware of that very fine, subtle energy, the fine particles which you absorb through the food you consume. So then naturally, when you eat the foods which comes from pain and suffering, what is the energy associated with it? See, we have two categories of food. The first category is the food of love and gratitude. When you eat a plant-based food, the plants produce the food, not for themselves. The plant produces the fruits, vegetables, nuts. They don't consume. But then for whom they are producing? Every plant has a chlorophyll, green leaves, and using the chlorophyll, they go through photosynthesis. And they use the sunlight, air, all the panchabhutas. Then they produce the food. For whom they are producing? They are producing for never for themselves. They don't consume their own food. The apple tree never eats its own apple. Then for whom they are producing? They're producing for the birds. They're producing for the animals. They're producing for the humans. So they're producing the food for the others to consume. So that is the food of love, where they produce to serve others. That is the plant-based food. That is the first. Then there is a second variety where you get the food of pain and suffering. You butcher an animal, you kill an animal, or you torture an animal. Put the animals in the battery cages, factory farming. You torture and you extract the food. So that is the food of pain and suffering. So when you are eating that food, first, because of you, the animal is getting killed. So you will get back the negative karma. That is for sure. What you give comes back to you. If you are in the path of violence, if you are in the path of killing, then you cannot expect peace in return. You are in the path of suffering. You give suffering to others, you will be suffering. You cannot expect peace. You cannot say, okay, I will kill the animals. I will eat it because I like the taste of it, because I'm born in that culture. I'm born in that family. I'll keep eating it. And I want peace in my life. I want to be peaceful, but I will kill animals and I will eat. That doesn't work. What you give comes back to you. Simple law of karma. If you want peace in your life, you have to be peaceful with every living being. You have to be in the path of ahimsa. Unless you are in the path of ahimsa, there is no way peace will come to your life. That's a simple law. Whether you like it or not, whether you understand it or not, whether you accept it or not, doesn't matter. The law is a law. It's a universal law. It's not for you or me or any particular person. It's universal. That's why it's a law. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect is when you are eating that kind of negative foods or the food you cooked by a person who is having negative thoughts. You are eating vegetarian food, but the food is cooked by a negative mind person. You are eating the vegetarian food, plant-based food, but the food is prepared by a disastrous mind person. While he's cooking the food, he's thinking about his own survival. A lot of fears inside him. So that fear energy goes into that fine matter of the food. So when you're eating it, you're absorbing that energy. That's why it is very important. Once you have come into the path of spirituality, once you are hell-bent on enlightenment, you should be very aware of the subtle energies. The hands which cook matters. So that's why it is very important when you have to cook your own food. As a meditator, it's always important you cook your own food. And when you're cooking the food, be mindful and always radiate positive energy. Always radiate the gratitude. When you're cooking the food, when you're cutting the vegetables, radiate the gratitude energy. Gratitude towards the farmers, gratitude towards the nature spirits, gratitude towards the traders, gratitude towards the cook. So when you're having this gratitude while cooking, then the food becomes delicious. Food becomes delicious not because of the ingredients, not only because of the ingredients. The food becomes delicious because the very fine, subtle matter in that food, the fine energy, is full of love and gratitude. That's why we always say the mother's food is the best food, because the mother always cooks with so much love. While the mother is cooking out of love for the own children, for the loved ones. So that's why we say the mother's food is the best food. There's a lot of love energy. So it is very important to understand the subtle energy aspect. You may not be eating the negative foods, the foods, the animals, the food of blood. You may not be eating the food of blood, but you should be careful who is cooking the food. If you are eating in a restaurant where the energy is only business to make money, and the chef who is cooking is not treated well, is not given proper accommodation, is not well paid, then he feels that exploitation energy. And when you eat that food, you feel that exploitation energy, which naturally results in the fear. So the hands which cooks matters. And no garlic. Only when you're a meditator, you understand this. Garlic is created by evil forces. The very reason the garlic is created, garlic is like a spy. It belongs to vegetarian kingdom, it belongs to plant kingdom, but actually it is created by a dark forces as a spy in the plant kingdom. It works for the opposite team. That is a spy. A spy is somebody who pretends to be your friend, but actually he is your enemy. So garlic is created by the dark forces so that it can induce fear energy in a person. The more you eat garlic, the more it creates fear in you. How it creates fear? The more you eat garlic, the more it calcifies your pineal and the pituitary glands. So when your pineal and pituitary glands, these glands, the pineal and the pituitary glands, which are related to your sixth chakra and the Sahasrara chakra, they are very fine tissues, soft tissues. They are called master glands. They control your entire system. So if this pineal and the pituitary gland gets calcified, then the amount of light which you can absorb becomes very limited. The amount of light which enters your system, your nadi mandala, gets very limited. And when the amount of light is entering your system is limited, then there is more darkness. When there is no light, then the darkness persists, darkness exists. Darkness is nothing but absence of light. So the more you eat garlic, the more it induces fear consciousness. This is the exact reason the dark forces has created garlic. See, if you want to be a spy, then you have to be extraordinary. You have to have a lot of talents, and you should be extraordinary performer. Then only you can be a spy. So what they have done, so they put all good qualities in garlic, for the physical body. Garlic is good for gastric, garlic is good for digestion, garlic is good for this, that. They have made a lot of magical things, good things, only for the physical body. So people think, yes, I want to eat garlic, I want to have a good health. So they start eating garlic. It destroys your soul, it destroys your subtle energies, it destroys your energy body, it creates a lot of fear. You can do this experiment. I don't want you to believe me blindly, but you do this experiment where for 1 month you don't eat garlic. Consciously, you don't eat garlic for 1 month, and you see how you feel in that 1 month. In that 1 month, you will feel that your emotions are no more, negativity is coming down, your fears are coming down, your uncertainties are coming down, your approach to your life is becoming positive. And after 1 month, you eat garlic, then you will immediately know. The day you eat garlic, you are very agitated, you are very frustrated, you are not calm within yourself. Please do this experiment and you will understand yourself. So we discussed about it, why it is very important to have a plant-based food. If you want to be out of suffering, if you want to be out of fear, if you want to be, lead a peaceful life, a happy life, a plant-based diet, a vegetarian diet is the only way. Now, you might say, okay, sir, we understood the root cause of the fear. Now, how to face it? We understood fear. What is fear? What is fear? Fear is nothing but a feeling of an impending disaster. The fear can happen anytime. There is a constant dread. It can happen anytime, any moment, any situation. And when it happens, then you are in panic. You feel that there is a danger to your survival. So that is fear. And why we get fears? What is the root cause of the fears? We discussed. Now, how to face it? Simple. Unless you are a meditator, it's not possible to face all your fears. So meditation and mindfulness, because you have to be aware that you are having subtle thoughts. So you have to be mindful. So unless you practice meditation and mindfulness, there is no possibility you can identify the fear in the first place. See, the law of thought is when you radiate a thought, the thought goes around and comes back to you. Any thought you radiate, the thought you radiate out, it goes around, it goes out and comes back to you. That is a law of thought. If you are aware, then what will you do? If you are aware moment to moment, the moment you notice that you have radiated a negative thought, immediately you will say, cut, cut, cut. So the thought has no energy, it collapses. It doesn't come back to you. The negativity doesn't come back to you because you have cut it. So the thought destroys. But if you are not mindful, if you are not aware, if you are not a meditator, then unconsciously you radiate more and more and more negative thoughts, and you are giving more and more and more energy to the thought, and that negativity will come back to you and it will affect you. So the first and the foremost is meditation, mindfulness. That's very, very important. And the second point is, okay, we have fears. We acknowledge we have fears. The day we don't have fears, we are enlightened. But now we are having fears. How do you work on the existing fears? Okay, new fears we don't create. That's fine. New negative thoughts we don't create. We'll be aware of it. But what about the existing fears? The only way is face the fears. The more and more you face the fears, the more and more you come out of the illusion. Because the very energy of fear is an illusion. It is not real. Because the fear is a feeling that something might happen. You are still in an illusion. It is not yet happened. So the attitude, this should be the attitude. Whatever the fear, I will face it. Whatever happens, let me face it. So you need a tremendous amount of energy to face your fears, which you get through the meditation. And there is another important point. The more you are in the path of the truth, the more you understand there is no injustice whatsoever. In the God's creation, there is no tragedy, there is no injustice. You will understand it. If you are in the path of truth, you will understand that there is no injustice and there is no tragedy whatsoever. It's a beautiful statement by Richard Bach, an enlightened master. The mark of your ignorance, is the depth of your belief in injustice and tragedy. The mark of your ignorance is the depth of your belief in injustice and tragedy. When you are believing in injustice and tragedy, you are an ignorant person. And if you are an ignorant person, you attract fears. So when you understand that there is no tragedy, no injustice whatsoever in the entire creation of God, there is no injustice. Whatever happens, happens for good. When you can understand this mantra, when you can hold this mantra in your heart, because the fear radiates from this space. So when you can hold this mantra, whatever happens, happens for good. I trust. All is well. All is well. There is a movie, American's movie, and he says, all is well, all is well. That comes from this mantra. There is no injustice in the God's kingdom, in the God's creation. So when you can hold on to this mantra, whatever happens, happens for good. So that gives you a tremendous amount of energy boost, that whatever happens, happens for good. Anything happen, let me face it. I will face my fears. Because whatever might be the outcome, it is for good. Whatever might be the situation, always it is for good. So when you have this truth within you, then you will have the energy to face it. And the more and more you face it, the more and more you realize actually it is your own self-created imagination. It is your own self-created illusion that you are having these fears. The fears disappear. You do this experiment. Any fear and every fear, you face it. The energy of the fear keeps reducing. And you face it again and again, the fear disappears. And the same energy of the fear, it transforms into trust. You start trusting more and more your life. The more you face your fears, the more you will trust your life. Because the energy, the fear energy, it's the same energy when it is converted in the opposite. It's nothing but the energy of the trust. So every energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. So don't think you can destroy the fear energy. No, energy cannot be destroyed, but energy can be transformed. So you will transform the same fear energy into the energy of trust. That is the beauty. And another point is, make friendship with fearless people. If you want to work on your fears, always make sure you are surrounded by fearless people, by positive people, by miraculous people, miraculous minded people, positive minded people, at least. We should always make friendships with the people who are fearless, because they radiate that energy and they radiate that feeling of fearlessness. They radiate the energy of trust. And when you are in that atmosphere, when you are in that environment, you are impacted by it. And that motivates you to live a fearless life. That inspires you. So always make sure your surroundings are always positive. Make friendship with fearless people, miraculous people, positive minded people. And read more and more spiritual books. The more you read the spiritual books, the more you are closer to the truth. The more you digest the truth, the more the truth becomes part of you. And it is that truth which gives the energy to work on yourself, to face it. And naturally, you will drop all the fears. On its own, the fears get dropped. And the final is the right food habits. Again, when it comes to food habits, plant-based food, and also hands which cook matters. You need to be aware of that subtle energy. So friends, this is a very, very, very important topic. If you can able to work on this fear energy, and if you can able to transform this, the game is over. You are enlightened. You become a co-creator. Of course, it doesn't happen overnight, but if you have the right understanding, when you start working on it, when you're in the right path, when you know what to do, when you understand what is the root cause of it, why it is it, and when you know what to do, then you're helping yourself. You eventually reach a place where there is no fear. When there is no fear, then that means you are in the heart space. You are totally in the space of trust. And when you are in the space of trust, then you radiate love, you radiate friendship, you radiate oneness. No judgments, no ego. You are simply a pure being of love, Prem Avatar. So let us absorb all this information and just let this information go to your being.